Okay, y'all, we're in the kitchen cooking up good health. Those of you who are very interested from last week in cooking, Phyllis Edmonds and Carmen Hunt and Leroy Barnes. Hi, Rwanda. Hey, Cheryl. We're going to get started in a few minutes. I just wanted to come on so that you all could see what I've got set up and how we're going to do it. Sonia Sims, I see you. We're going to make the biscuits first and get them in the oven, and then we're going to make the gravy to go over the biscuits. Wakanda forever, Shaquela. Pastor O'Rourke, so good to see you, my friend. Hey, Desmond. Are there any questions quickly about the ingredients or anything? For those of you who are cooking with me, Eddie is down here this morning. He's going to try and give me your questions as we go along because my hands are going to be in this flour and I'm not going to be able to scroll through and see questions. So if you have some quick questions before we get started, the recipe was posted last night. I did a live, and earlier this morning I posted it again. Hey, Miss Phyllis, full of Edmonds. Hey, Niecy. Hi, Kimberly Ford. Good to see you. We're going to start in a couple minutes because I'm only going to be with y'all for 30 minutes this morning. Just pretend you are at the house and Mama's downstairs and she's making them biscuits and she got to get it in before she goes to her meeting or y'all go to church or whatever y'all do on Sunday morning. And there's my husband with his comments. You got to love that man. So we'll get the biscuits started and put them in the oven, and while they're in the oven baking, then we will make the sauce. How many of y'all are cooking? Let me know if you're cooking with me or if you're just watching me this morning. Please make those comments so that I will know. And then we'll get started in a minute. Welcome to the Ponderosa. Yes, please share the broadcast. And if you're having any questions, seeing or anything, just post it and Eddie will let you know. Miss Edmonds, you're supposed to be cooking. You said you wanted to cook, and then you're just going to be watching. Carmen and Leroy, y'all better have biscuit stuff on your counter. That's all I got to say. You're at the Ponderosa. This is our kitchen. This is the set that I use for my cooking show. Okay, you're at your mom's. That's fine. Hey, Marcia. For those of you who've seen the cooking show, Cooking Up Good Health, this is the kitchen that we used for the last shows that we did. Good morning, Nicola. So it looks like I'm doing all the cooking today. All right, well, that's how it's going to be. Biscuits and gravy are something that I used to want to eat. Hi, my cousin Lauren, I see you. When we used to go to restaurants, but what was in the gravy I couldn't do. And about 30 years ago, Paula and Linda, I've been waiting for you. 30 years ago, I was a home economist for the Georgia Extension Service. We used to have this annual affair at our boss's house for Christmas. And one of the things that she would do was biscuits and gravy. There were a number of vegetarians in the group. And so, hey, Shauna, she would always have something for the vegetarians. And so that's where I got this cream sauce, gravy idea from, to put on the biscuits. She would have sausage and ham and all that in there. And I think she actually used like cream of mushroom or cream of celery soup as the base. But I'm using the cashews as the base. And I have also added some other alternatives that you can use if you don't like cashews or if you're allergic to cashews. Because what you're really doing is making a gravy. Hi, Marcia. I see you. So the first thing that we're going to do is make the biscuits. And one of the things that I like to do in the years that I've been doing this is to convert, because there are a lot of people out there who already know how to cook. They've decided they want to eat more healthfully, and what they need to do is to convert the recipe. Hey, Didra, I see you. I see you, Linda. And as you convert the recipe, you just put healthier things in. The other thing that you will learn from me as I do my cooking is I kind of send everything that I hear in the media and the news through the word of God for me. Because in Genesis, the Lord said that you could eat every herb, seed bearing, all of that. And so if you see me using something that's questionable, according to something that you've read, it falls under what God has said we can do. And pretty much science will affirm it later. Years ago, they said we couldn't eat avocados. because they were the bad kind of fat. They did some scientific discovery, and that's some of the best kind of fat that you can use. And it's one of those fruits that God said we could use in the beginning. So all fruits, all nuts, all grains, all vegetables are what I use and recommend, unless you have an allergy. And many of our patients who had allergies, when they got rid of all the animal products, the processed food, and the sugars in their diets, their allergies resolved themselves, and they were actually able to consume some of the things that they were allergic to before. Okay, so I'm making these biscuits. The recipe you have, it calls for 2 cups of flour. I like to use King Arthur flour. And so this morning I'm going to use a cup of whole grain flour and a cup of unbleached flour. And the reason that I do that is because many times when you're starting to eat like this, if I do 100% whole wheat for people who aren't used to doing it, it tends to be a problem for them. And so I like to do half and half so that it's easier for them. But you can make this 100% whole wheat if you wanted to, or you could use oat flour, which is a lighter flour, and that's delicious as well. All right, the recipe calls for a teaspoon of salt. We're going to add a teaspoon of salt. We're going to add some baking powder. The baking powder that I like to use is featherweight baking powder, because all baking powders have baking soda and aluminum in them. And we know aluminum is not good for the brain. So I like to use featherweight baking powder, which does not have the aluminum in it. And baking soda is not in here either. Baking soda kills your B vitamins, and it can irritate the digestive system as well. So I don't use that one. And I'm going to use this. It calls for 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And then it calls for a teaspoon of sugar. And in my classes, I talk about how you make the sugar from the sugar cane. It takes about 4 feet of sugar cane to make a teaspoon of sugar. And so that would mean that we would have used 12 feet of sugar cane in order to make this tablespoon of sugar. I tend to use the natural sugar. When I use it, you could also use honey or something else that you like. And pretty much your natural sugars are darker in color when they're first made because they are just juiced and then evaporated. So it has a kind of brown color like the sugar in the raw. And then as they continue to process it, it has this lighter color. These literally are what I had in my cabinet today, but I don't stand by the brand necessarily. Whatever is the cheapest is what I always tend to buy. So that's what we're doing here. We've got the flour, the sugar, the salt, the baking powder, and we're going to sift that. If you're going to make your biscuits 100% wheat, it's always good to sift that flour, and that will add in the lightness of it. And that's kind of a little secret for people who want to make their stuff lighter than it normally would be. Now we're going to add the fat in here. And what I have decided to use is the Earth Balance margarine sticks. And somewhere, I used to be able to get the Earth Balance vegan shortening everywhere, but I can't find it anywhere anymore. So instead of using this today, what I'm going to use is some coconut oil. So what you see me putting in here now is margarine and coconut oil. My girlfriend Glenda likes to use coconut oil in everything. My family wasn't always crazy of the flavor, so sometimes I will use part of it in a recipe so that the flavor is not very strong. But the reason that I like to use it is because it mimics shortening. Part of the reason that we're not using shortening, the old-fashioned shortening, is because it is hydrogenated, and hydrogenation actually causes some problems with triglycerides and heart disease. And so I don't use that. But if you like the flakiness of what you used to get with shortening, then you can definitely use the coconut oil. And then there's another product called Spectrum non-hydrogenated all vegetable shortening, which is palm oil, I believe. And you could use this. Yes, it's certified palm sustainable oil. You could use this as your shortening, and that will give you the flakiness as well. Okay, so are there any questions? Are any questions coming up, Mr. Goodman? No. All right, so everybody's watching. Okay, so we're going to cut this in, of course, until it looks like cornmeal. And if for some reason you didn't want to use any shortening, I also have a variation in the recipe where you could just mix 1/3 cup of oil in with your milk and whisk that together and then dump that in. I tend not to insist that people do it exactly as I say, because people are at different places on the journey People have different financial abilities. People have different tastes for different things. And so if you prefer not to use the shortening or the margarine, then don't use it. You could use oil. There's some question about canola oil. Canola comes from the rapeseed. And if you can find an organic version of that, I wouldn't worry about it so much, organic, non-GMO. I have begun to use olive oil in most everything. The darker olive oil has a stronger flavor, but if you can find the lighter olive oil, then you won't have to worry about it taking over the flavor of whatever you're putting it in. I can't believe there's no questions this morning. Unless their hands are in their bowls like mine. Did anybody post that they are cooking with me? You see that? Okay, that's kind of looking like cornmeal. Y'all see it? All right. So now what we're going to do is add the milk. And what I have done, I have several different types of milk up here, but what I'm going to do is add some lemon juice that I've already squeezed to this, and that's going to make this into a buttermilk. You'll see recipes online for people who want to make their own buttermilk. You use milk and vinegar. I don't recommend the use of vinegar because vinegar in the body acts just like alcohol and it messes with your liver. So I don't use it at all. But if a recipe calls for vinegar, I use lemon juice in place of it. And what I'm doing here is you could use any of these milks, coconut milk, and I'm thinking that when we make the gravy, you'll probably enjoy this part of it because you can season however you want. But you can use plain milk, you could use vanilla flavored milk, you could use soy milk, almond milk, whichever you want. I recently have bought this Bolthouse Farms milk. I have not tried it yet. It is a pea protein. And those of you who have been following Darius Williams from Darius Cooks TV, he introduced us to this Ripple. So if you wanted to use half and half, you could use that as well. When we make the gravy, we're going to actually be making our own milk as a base. So you could literally make your own milk if you didn't have the milk here in your home. And you could use almonds or cashews as the base, water, a little vanilla salt. And you've got your own milk right there in the blender if that's what you want to do. As you add the lemon juice to the milk, it actually curdles it right away. And now we're going to pour this into here. And I have found over the years as I have played with biscuit dough that the wetter the dough is, the lighter the final product is. And so here I've got this all stirred together and I can see that it's going to be wet, which is a good thing. And that's going to make them lighter. I'm going to pull this over here so you can see the consistency of that. Everybody see that? All right. And then, because it was my job years ago to teach people how to cook, I really had to stay up on technique and stuff like that. And so I was going through, another little trick is you're going to knead the dough, get a little bit of water and put it underneath the wax paper, and then the wax paper won't move. There you go, like that. So I was going through these magazines and videos, and I was looking for some ways to make the biscuits even lighter. That was one of the first things that my husband and I went through when we first got married. He was eating somebody quick biscuits out the can, and he didn't, I'm sorry, he said they weren't out the can. Some lady was making them where they was lard in them, but they had lard in them. I knew something was wrong with them. And they were so light and delicious. And so he wanted to know, could I make biscuits? I'm like, why are you asking me that? So I decided that I was going to figure out how to make these biscuits for him. And a month, every Sunday, he would get up and I would have tried a recipe or tried another recipe in order to get it really light. And I did okay, but over the years, I've learned some other ways to make it lighter. And one of the things that we like to do to incorporate the layers into it is to just keep folding it. Instead of kneading it, you're literally folding it. And as you fold it, sometimes into thirds, you are putting the layers in here so that when the biscuit is completely cooked and you go to cut the biscuit, it has all those amazing layers in it, and that makes it really good. Any questions yet, Mr. Goodman? Nope. What? Okay, I'm turning my oven on. The dough feels really, really good and light. Yeah. So that's a little secret here. You want your dough to be a little sticky, and then the stickier it is, the lighter the final product. One other little tip, sometimes when I'm making biscuits, and I tend to cook mine in ceramic dish containers. I like the feel of that and how it bakes up. If I have any extra left over, what I will do is roll that out and make cinnamon rolls out of it. So if you have a child in the home or somebody who really likes cinnamon rolls, you can do that with the extra dough. Now, you can either roll these out with the rolling pin or not, but I'm doing old school today. We're just going to pat them down. And as I pat them down, that's probably the thickness I want. And then I'm going to get my, that I didn't take out earlier. And you can make them whatever size you want to make them. I am dipping that down inside of the flour. We are cutting. And we're going to put those in the pan. I'll probably get about 15 out of this dough because I am using a smaller size cutter than usual, but you can do it that way, and use a large one if you want. And then when you get to the end of it, if you have like a weird piece or something, then you can do it the way our grandmothers and aunties used to do it, and that's called a drop biscuit or a rolled biscuit, where you just take the extra dough and put it in your hand and roll it and plop it down inside of there. I would spray my pan. And that's what I'm doing here. You could also use some of the shortening that you have if you wanted to. You could put it in a ceramic container like I am, or you could put it in a skillet. These are going to be good, Mr. Edmond.
Here they are.
Now, the second recipe that I have that I uploaded for you is actually an angel biscuit. Those are really good for sandwiches and for gravies as well because they're made with yeast, and they are going to have a different texture to them. Not quite like a yeast roll, but like a hybrid of a biscuit and a yeast roll. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We've got 13 biscuits here that are going to go in the oven in a few minutes. Any questions about that? I see you, Miss Spring. No questions? Hi, Tara. All right, we're going to put these right here until that gets ready. And then here you have the excess dough. You want cinnamon rolls out of it?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Goodman wants cinnamon roll. So what I'm going to do now is add a little more flour here. And I will definitely have to roll these out because they're going to be thin. Let me get my rolling pin. This was not the plan today, but we have extra dough, so make the man happy. So we're going to roll this out, usually into the shape oblong. And it's sticky, so I need some more flour here. And of course, if you were really doing a cinnamon roll dough, your dough would probably be a little sweeter, but this will work. And then if I'm going to put a little margarine on here and spread it, and then a little sugar. And some people don't use cinnamon. There have been some studies that there's some oils in there that can be a little damaging to the digestive system. So if we use it in our home, we use it in small amounts. You can also use some other things to flavor that with. Let me see, I've got some margarine here. I'm going to spread that on here. Yeah, tearing it. Okay, Mr. Goodman, if you will pop this in the microwave just for a couple seconds, please. Okay, y'all need to say something. I feel like I may be missing something that you need. Okay, Edward Polo, we see your message. We got you. All right, Eddie. Okay, so we've softened the margarine now, and we're just going to spread it here like that. Real simple and easy. And then we're going to add some sugar and some cinnamon. And of course, if he wanted nuts, we would put nuts on there, but you don't really like a lot of nuts on your cinnamon rolls? Or
Yeah, it's fine.
Or raisins, or one of them.
What we do?
Yeah, you can. Okay. So I'm going to use the sugar in the raw. I want a molasses-y kind of flavor. So I'm going to add this on here like that. Y'all getting extra today. This was not on the plan. And of course, you could use date sugar, coconut sugar, whatever you're doing in your life. It works for you, works for me.
Wherever you are.
And wherever you are in the journey, we want you to make the healthiest choices that you can make. So we're going to add a little cinnamon. He's going to add some nuts. I'm going to add just a tad bit of salt. And I'm going to give this to him. And he is going to add the nuts to it and roll it up and come. And he's going to have himself some biscuit. I'm sorry, cinnamon rolls. Here you go, please. You might put some flour in your hands. Any questions about anything? Let me see. Quantrilla, you laughing. I see you, Kimberly. Anybody else? Hi, Myrna. No questions? Okay, we're ready to move to the next recipe. My oven is heating, so we will put the biscuits in the oven shortly. And because I'm trying to, Okay, I'll answer that. Because we're trying to do this in 30 minutes, you're not going to see a final product, but I will post pictures when we're done. Somebody's asking about nutmeg. Cinnamon, nutmeg. What they've literally done, they've taken this stuff in the lab. I graduated from Loma Linda University, and there's a lot of studies on health and healthy living that have been done there over the years. And one of the studies that they've done was to look at the impact of some of the oils on the digestive system, one of which we like to use is cloves. But cloves actually is what's also used to stop pain and numb your mouth when you have a toothache or something like that. And so the oils that are in cloves and cinnamon and nutmeg and some other spices can numb the digestive tract and impact the ability for it to do what it's supposed to do. And so if a person is convinced and convicted that they don't want to use it, don't use it. You can find some other things, coriander, there's some other things that you could use. I like to use Jamaican allspice that you could use in place of it. And one thing that you could do is make something with the cinnamon or the cloves and see how your body responds. Because a lot of time when we have digestive disorders, people are asking for what medication can I take? But when you look in gastrointestinal recommendations from physicians, if you have digestive disorders, one of the things they're going to tell you to do is to not eat things that irritate it. So they take you off vinegars and coffees and caffeine and spicy foods, all of which irritate the digestive system. And then the digestive system can return to normal. So that's one of the things that you can consider while you're doing that. When it comes to using flavorings of any kind, I tend to use flavorings that are non-alcoholic. I buy the Spicery brand when I can get it. And then Frontier has some that are also alcohol-free. Yes, when you cook with flavors that have alcohol, some of the alcohol is cooked out, but all of it is not. I did an article for Message Magazine years ago for whom I write a column, and we clearly saw that that doesn't happen. Okay, he's working on those things, so let me see if there are any more questions that anybody has. Javelin, come on, girl. You know I got something for you. Hey, Claricia, Carmen, I love you, girl. Cheryl, I see you. Melvin Matt, Daryl Dixon, welcome to our group. All my relatives on here talking about they want delivery. Y'all know I'm not doing that. Hey, Kamala boy, so glad to see you. Yes, there are some benefits to cinnamon, Quantrilla. So if a person's going to use it for diabetes, but the other thing that beats cinnamon for diabetes management and control is getting on a totally plant-based diet. So you get rid of all the fat that's clogging the system, and then the body restores itself. A lot of times we will replace certain foods instead of medications, and we don't have to do that. We can just make good choices to start, and then you won't have any of the problems. The biscuits are going to cook for about 20 minutes or so. Okay. Hey, Donna Harrison, the temperature is 400, 450, depending on your oven. If you have a convection oven, of course, it's going to take less time. All right, it's 10 minutes to 8. So what I'm going to do now is make up this confetti cream gravy. What I have here, can everybody see me? What we're doing, let's see. Okay, what I have here are the raw cashews. I'm literally, y'all, this is as simple as this is. I'm going to put the cashews inside of my blender. You could use almonds if you wanted to. What I find, however, when I'm blending cashews in the blender, the Vitamix, if you have a blender and not a Vitamix or something strong like this, it's going to take a little more time because it's not as powerful. But if you have one of these, it'll just blend it right up. And if you soak them overnight, of course, that's going to make it creamier and easier to blend. I tend to put a cup of water in with the cashews first to get them started, because when you put too much water in there, it gets lost in the water, and then you have like a hot mess, and you don't want a hot mess when you're doing this. So I'm going to put this on and turn it on. Before I turn it on, however, I'm putting the biscuits in the oven. And like I said, I'll post pictures after this goes off. We're going to turn this on. Okay, so that has gotten that started. You shouldn't have as many bits in there. Don't stand up, I don't want to see your head. If you can see that, it just is like cream. Years ago, I watched, when Oprah had her show, she had somebody on there talking about cooking healthier, and these people were plant-based. And literally, in the plant-based world, cashew cream can be used for cream of mushroom, cream of celery, cream of whatever that forms your base. And then you can add whatever seasonings to it that you want. And the benefits of cashews to the body's health are just amazing. If you don't like cashews, you could use almond, pecans. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago in my cooking class, we did a pesto sauce, pesto pasta, and one of us used walnuts, one of us used pecans, the other used pine nuts. So you can experiment with whatever you want. And if you don't want to use the nuts, you can use the flour and the oil that I have added to the recipe that I posted. And if you are oil-free, because some of y'all don't do oil either, if you're oil-free, then just do flour and water or milk, and it can make the cream as well. Because all we're trying to do is, you know, when y'all go to Shoney's and y'all be trying to put that sauce on the biscuits or wherever y'all eat. This is what this is. Okay, Donna. All right, so that's the green cream base. I already have my pot on, heating. I'm going to pour this in here. And in the recipe, I actually say that you should add your veggies and stuff right away. But I decided to change that because sometimes the veggies will start cooking and they'll get mushy before you want them to be done. So what we're going to do now is literally let this sit here and start thickening up. And it kind of acts like when you're making gravy and you put flour in it, or if you're doing something with cornstarch, and you're going to get this really rich, creamy gravy, and then you can add the other stuff to it, more water if you want other seasonings. I have chosen today to add red pepper, orange pepper, yellow pepper, mushroom. I was going to do some onion, but I decided not to. I'll just add onion powder, and I'm going to add a vegetarian ham. Now, when my boss did it, they did sausage and ham and all that sort of stuff, and this is what I like. But this is also the place where I thought you all might like to experiment because...
Do we need the rice?
No. Okay, so my husband is showing you these are the cinnamon rolls that he's going to put in the oven next to the biscuits. So he gets the cinnamon rolls too. Depending on where you live, the way that I'm making this gravy is a southern kind of recipe. But if you're Caribbean, you could put curry and stuff in there. If you're Asian, you could make it so that it has more of an Asian flavor to it. If you want stuff spicy, you can add spicy ingredients to it. So we're just using this as the base, and then you can add whatever you want to make it taste the way you want. This is already starting to thicken up. You need to keep your eye on it. Keep the spoon in it and stir it, and you will sense at the bottom of the pot as it starts to thicken up like when you make gravy. And that's where this is headed right now. And it's so amazingly good and delicious. The ham that I'm using is made by Asians. It's called Verisoy. This, I have discovered that much of the Asian vegetarian meat substitutes, if that's what you want to use, does not have nearly as many ingredients in it as some of the other stuff. Verisoy is who I'm using. They have ham, fish, chicken, you name it, you can do it. If you wanted this to actually be more like a seafood one, you could use tofu if you wanted to, or you could add vegetarian meat that is fishy, and then you want to make sure that you add some kelp to it. Kelp is a seed plant that tastes fishy, and this would make your sauce have a fishy kind of flavor to it.
That's about curry.
What about the curry? The kind of curry that I use, the brand that I really like to use is this one by Ocho Rios, because I prefer to use a brand that is not as spicy. Again, that spiciness is messing up your intestine job, and you don't want that to happen. So I use this for the flavor, and sometimes I will add in extra turmeric to make it yellower in color. All right, this is thickening up. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes so that you can see how thick it got, and then I'm going to add all my veggies, and then I'm going to start seasoning it. You can put whatever spices, whatever herbs. You can put veggie sausage in it. I swear by the tofurkey one. And I remember my mom telling me they used to eat cream chip, corned beef, and gravy on toast. And this is a way that you could do that as well. All right, can you see how this has started to thicken? It's not nearly as thin as it was when I first poured it in. All right, so we're going to continue to let that thicken. And now I'm going to add in my bell peppers and my veggie ham and my mushrooms. You can put green pepper, red onion, green onion, whatever you want in here to make it taste like you want. My husband is not fond of mushrooms, so the mushrooms that I have in here are pretty large so that he can dig them out if he don't want to eat them on his biscuit. Okay, so now it's time to start seasoning, and this now is getting pretty thick, so I'm going to add a little more water to it because it's going to cook for a few minutes to do these vegetables. The recipe calls for McKay's chicken style. That's how I'm doing mine. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can use whatever seasonings are in your cabinet, especially if you're cooking with me. I would add this. I like to keep the integrity of the color for this one because I want one that is white in color. I have experimented with a bunch of different herbs. I like to use sage and thyme. Rosemary is really one of my favorites. This is garlic that I'm putting in here. You could add fresh garlic if you want to. And then I'm going to add some onion powder. If you wanted smoke, you could put the smoke seasoning in it, or you could add the Tarullo yeast if you wanted to do that to make it smoky in flavor. If you want more color in it, then you decide some other things that you want to add in there. You can put broccoli in here. You can do whatever you want to make it taste however you want it to taste. Are there any questions about anything that I need to answer right now? I'm coming back over to look. I'm so glad y'all took the time to join us this morning. Hey, Kimberly, hey, Montague.
Pistachios.
You can use whatever nuts you want. I have not used pistachios myself. I just like to eat them. But you could definitely use them. If you want curry, you can put curry in it. Good morning, Tina Fraser. I hope that you are encouraged by what we're doing today on your plant-based journey. Anybody else? Pray for your spicy taste. We'll do that. We will do that. Okay, now it's starting to bubble and get really, really thick. Oh my goodness. This is going to be so good, y'all. I think what I'm going to do once I go off is to add something else green in here because I want that color to pop this in here. Let's see what it's tasting like. Okay, it needs some more McKay's. And then sometimes salt and pepper. I don't use pepper because that's one of those things that is proven to be a digestive tract irritant. So if you're still using pepper, just use less. I have found this product, which I thoroughly enjoy. I never ate pepper growing up. I would use cayenne pepper, my dad, but my family members liked it. And we have found this one, and this is what I use. My husband is very happy with it. And so that's what I'm going to put in here to add a little flavor. I really think that some Jamaican allspice would be good in here too. You could use some chicken. Oh, this would be so good. Any more questions about anything? So nobody cooked with me this morning. It sounds like everybody's watching, which is okay if that's what you want to do. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we're heading in the right direction. Okay, I'm going to try and let you see this.
What do you add to make the gravy browner?
Okay, somebody wants to know if they want to make the gravy browner, what would you add? I would add Bragg's liquid aminos, and there's another seasoning that I use as well that helps with that. If you want to keep the integrity of the color, you don't want to add too much Bragg's, but that will give it some flavor. Why not just put a little drop of that in here? Just a little bit. And the other thing that I like to use is the Kitchen Bouquet browning sauce, and that gives that savory flavoring that so many of us are used to and are craving.
Talk about the icing that goes on the biscuit, sweet rolls.
The what?
Somebody asked about the icing for those sweet rolls.
Icing for the sweet rolls. Okay, here's what we're going to do for that. We're going to take, oh yeah, that's about ready. We're going to take this regular sugar here, and we're going to put a cup of this in the blender with a tablespoon of cornstarch, and we're going to blend it till it's really fine, and that's your confectioner's sugar. And then I'm going to add a little non-dairy milk to it. Unless he wants something else, you can add juice or flavorings or whatever, and stir it up, and then I'm going to pour it over the cinnamon rolls when they're done.
The name of the pepper.
The name of the pepper that people want to use. You can find this online at Vegetarian Express. Can everybody see that? Vegetarian Express is the name of the pepper, and they have a bunch of other seasonings as well. They have a ranch seasoning that you could use, and then there's another one that I really like, which is the roasted garlic and bell pepper, and you can put this in your vegan sour cream and your salad dressings, whatever you want to do.
What about Verasoy?
Say it again.
Verasoy.
Verasoy?
Where do you get that?
That's a vegetarian meat substitute. Products. Vegetarian meat substitute by Verasoy is good. Oh, this is going to be delicious.
She's saying where?
Here in Huntsville, we buy the Verasoy stuff at the Asian market. If you live in Nashville, Atlanta, or a place like that, look for where the vegan restaurants are, and usually there's a market that's in that community, and you can purchase the stuff there. You can buy some of it online if you just Google Verasoy. That's another way for you to get it as well. And yeah, it's really good. Chicken, fish, and I take their fish and I'll make salmon patties out of it. The chicken on the stick is what I do, and I do baked chicken with that. You can do whatever you want with it or not, okay? So I don't want a whole bunch of people talking to me about vegetarian meat substitutes. I've been eating them all my life. I don't have to eat them because I don't need them for my nutrition, but people are in places where it's something that they want, and if it's something that they want on their journey to better health, this is what I'm recommending to them to use. And I would stick to those that have least ingredients. Worthington, Loma Linda have made vegetarian meat products since the beginning of time. But over the years, their products have compromised. And so products like Gardein, these Verasoy products that I'm talking about, making it your own self, are other ways that you can do it and get what you want as well. This is so thick. Okay, now I want you to see how thick it is. Doesn't that look delicious? Don't you wish you had cooked with me now? I know, but it's too bad Eddie and I'll get to eat all that today. Any other questions that anybody has? No? Let me look and see. Hey, Antoinette. Vegetarian Express. Yes, that's the brand name of the seasonings. Hey, Todd. Okay. No other questions for anybody? It is 8:04. Let me see what these biscuits are looking like. Oh, yeah. They're rising up. Actually, the cinnamon rolls are rising up really fast, too. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off, and we're going to finish baking, and then I will post a picture so that you can see them. You all have the recipes. If you have any other questions, you know how to reach me. You know how to speak to people and share this with other folk. Hi, friend. I see you, girl. Yes, that 30 minutes went by quickly, didn't it? Yes, Marlise is given the actual place where you could buy it in Huntsville. And those of you who live in Nashville, I'm trying to think of her name, who cooks this stuff. It'll come to me in a minute. If I can remember it, I'll add it at the end. Are there any other questions? My people, nothing else? Okay, so we're good. Now, if you didn't cook with me, get your butt off of this and go in the kitchen and whip up a little something. If you don't have the nuts, I know you have some flour and oil and margarine in your house where you can make the gravy and add whatever you want till it tastes like what you want it to taste like. Always know that you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Still Shoutin'. You can go to our YouTube channel, Lifestyle Therapeutics, and you can watch all my cooking shows, and we'll be posting some other videos there that are beneficial for you. Make the changes as you are impressed. Understand that the best way to eat is the way the Creator designed for us to eat. And He has given us so many gazillion freaking options that you can find something that you like. It's going to change your life. You can go to our website, lifestyletherapeutics.com. And if you haven't ordered any of the books are available online where you can get the recipes. The recipe for today was posted on my page, so you can get access to that. And you should be able to do some wonderful things with this. We definitely, Gerald said he can smell the food. Listen, it's going to be really good this morning. We waited for an hour show with guest eating is a suggestion, Edward Pillow. I love you, Pillow. We'll see what we can do because there's so many guests lining up to do this. Then I have all those relatives I have to get through as well. You can literally do this yourself, and it tastes great. And then if you decide to do this when we get off of this call this morning, you will now have something for you to eat for breakfast for a couple days this week if your family doesn't eat it all up. You know how much I love doing this, spending time with you on Sunday morning. I thank you for your time. Are the biscuits close to being ready? My helper is saying, bye, he loves you all. Let me see. No, they're not quite ready. So I'll post pictures of those. I hope you have an amazing week and that you make some really good choices for your health and that you share this with other people. Thanks for joining us at the Ponderosa. Talk to you next Sunday. We'll cook something else up next week. Haven't decided what it is, but I'll let you know so that you can enjoy it with us. Have a great week, guys. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.